Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Oh boy. We are back at it with none other than Jack Daniels, the 2024 edition of Coy Hill. Woo! I am extremely excited for today's episode. Kind of cool story. First and foremost, when Jack Daniels Coy Hill first came out back in 2021, I went out, obviously I reviewed it. I love the bottle. I ended up buying a second bottle. So this is my second bottle of Jack Daniels Coy Hill. The original release, fell in love with it. Still to this day, I think one of the best bottles I've had in a long time. So let me go ahead and just pour this one real quick. All right. So now, fast forward 2024. Jack Daniels is coming out with a brand new release of Coy Hill. And I'm actually really excited for this one because myself and my patrons, we are actually headed to Jack Daniels next month, actually. We're headed to Jack Daniels next month. We're doing a barrel pick. I'm really excited to do a barrel pick with my patron community. So me and several patrons, we're going down there, going to have a blast. Speaking of barrel picks, actually, the long and waited and overdue Glenn's Creek OCD number 5 barrel pick is finally coming in the next few days. Really excited about that one as well. Plus a whole bunch of other barrel picks that we have in the works as well. All right, back to Jack Daniels Coy Hill, the 2024 release. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour actually the original one as well. We're gonna compare and contrast as well. Cool? All right, so what do we know about the original versus the new one? So the original 2021 version of Jack Daniels Coy Hill, when you think about just the whole concept of the Coy Hill, so Coy Hill is essentially the highest point on the Jack Daniels property, and they have obviously rick houses there. So it's the highest point on the property. That particular part of the property is actually also known for having like the biggest swings in like temperatures, like maybe early in the morning is super warm versus later in the day is cool, but big swings in temperatures because it is at the highest point of the property. On Jack Daniels property as a whole, they have 96 rick houses. So first and foremost, I mean, there are a ton of rick houses, which is nothing but greatness as it relates like to aging fantastic whiskey. So 96 rick houses, and they have several rick houses obviously on Coy Hill. So back in 2021, they created the Coy Hill sub brand. Essentially, they went to like one of the rick houses, and they got barrels from like the top, literally at the top point of the rick house. They essentially called it like the Buzzer's Roost, and essentially we're literally right at the top of the rick houses. They found a group of barrels. What was unique about them is that the whiskey at that point in time, from a proof standpoint, was pretty much kind of hazmat. It was like in the 130s on the low end, all the way up to like 147, 148 proof. And my bottle in particular, from the original 2021 release of Coy Hill, came in at 143.5 proof. Yes, 143.5. Straight fire. All right, fast forward to the 2024 release. So what's different about this one? So number one, a different rick house. This is rick house number 8. The master distiller and team, so Chris Fletcher and team, they didn't go to the top level. They actually went to, I think it was levels 5 and level 6 of the rick house. And they took 258 barrels from level 5 and level 6. The cool thing about it was, they're not trying to recreate the original version. They're not trying to go after the hazmat proofs. In fact, with this release, the 2024 release, it ranges anywhere from, because they're all single barrels, right? They range anywhere from like the low 120s, like 122, all the way up to like 137, 138 proof. My bottle or sample rather, and thanks again, by the way, Jack Daniels for the sample. My sample of barrel house number 8 of the 2024 Coy Hill comes in at 134.7 proof. So 134.7 for 2024 versus 143.5. So the cool thing is, again, they're not trying to recreate that whole hazmat. They're not focusing on the proof. They're actually focusing on the quality of the whiskey. And they're saying that they believe, from their perspective, that this version is slightly unique and different. We shall see why and how. Cool? All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So MSRP, $80. Now let's, hopefully if we can find that MSRP or slightly above, let's not go crazy, folks. We get it out there. People are always going to jack prices up, but the true MSRP is $80. First and foremost, when you look at the color, look how dark and deep brown that is. That by itself is amazing. Goodness gracious. Oh, man. This is really, Really nice. Let me just compare the nose real quick to the original batch. Wow. This is pure like brown sugar, leather, bananas. This one is completely different. It's all of that, but it has a lot more like fruit in there. Above and beyond like the bananas, obviously. A lot more like cherry, some cherry, maybe even like a smidge of like a raspberry kind of a note. And almost like a caramelized like brown sugar note. So think of like a caramelized brown sugar meets like a cherry, a raspberry, banana, leathery kind of a note. Way more fruit and deep sweetness and blackberries as well. Compared to this one's more just like traditional like brown sugar, leather, and a little bit of bananas. Not as much like the other fruits that I mentioned. Completely different in the nose. All right, $80 bottle. Again, this is the 2024 edition. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hey, real quick, 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know what are your thoughts on Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. Did you like the original release, and will you be hunting the new one? Last but not least, please make sure you also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get a notification each and every time I release new content. Cool? All right. Brand new 2024, $80 MSRP. We shall see. Cheers. Is it worth it, folks? Oh, wow. That's very unique. I love what stands out in the back of the palate. Number 1, all of like the darker fruits, the blackberries, the raspberry kind of a note, and the cherry kind of a note. All of that stands out in the mid to the back of the palate, but you still get a really good sense of like that caramelized brown sugar note topped off with the bananas. That to me, in many ways, sips kind of like it almost has like a dusty kind of a note to it as well. This is very unique. You would not almost think that it's like a traditional Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. It's not all pure heat. What was this? At 134.7 proof, I would actually say this sips a little bit lower, maybe even like 125. That is very unique. Oh man, not bad at all. I'm gonna hold off before I compare it to the original release. I'm gonna hold off. I will say the mash bill for this year's the standard 80% corn, 12% malted barley, 8% rye. So that was the mash bill for 2024. Oh man. All right, now we're going to compare it back to 2021. Just want to kind of see the similarities, differences, and I'm going to give you the overall which one I think is personally better. This is nice too. This is just that deep, oh my gosh, rich sweetness. Just pure dark brown sugar, bananas, and leather. Not as much fruit in this one at all, but still very nice on the nose. Extremely nice. Let's be crystal clear. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Cheers again, folks. Woo! Ooh. That still, as I remember from before, will put some hair on your chest. Woo! All right. Both are excellent. This was a buy, and I loved it because of the deepness and how rich and bold it is. But when I compare the two, if you said to me, Judge, which one is better and why? Both are buys, but which one is the better buy? Hands down, the 2024 Jack Daniel's Coy Hill is leaps and bounds better. You heard it here first. It is leaps and bounds better than the original one. First and foremost, I think the reason why it's way more well-rounded. You get the traditional, which we got in this one, the dark brown sugar, the leather, the banana kind of a note. You still get all that, but it's at a lower proof point. At that, for my bottle at least, my single barrel 134.7, but it sips, in my opinion, this one sips closer to like 125, maybe 127. It sips way under the proof. That's number one. It's sneaky good. Number two, it's very much quintessential. It almost has like a dusty kind of a note to it. Like it has like a dusty kind of like a note to it. And what I love about this one is the fruit. The fruit just stands out. It's an explosion of fruit in the mid palate to all the way to the end of the palate. And it's such a bold and well-rounded experience. My opinion only, this can run circles around the 2021 release. It is way better, way more well-rounded, more sophisticated, and I can't wait to go out and hunt for a bottle and hopefully get one close as possible to MSRP. Hey friends, as we say in this courtroom, until the next time, peace, cheers, most important, salute. Take care. See you guys.